We had stopped at Skanda 2, chapter 9. ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮುಗಿಸಿದ್ವಿ. So we were discussing about Brahma, how Brahma was created, and that was our title also, origin of Brahma. How Brahma, who creates the entire uh, Srishti, entire creation, it's from Brahma only. Brahma has created all of us actually. Who creates Brahma and how he is created? This is what we have understood. And the biggest and the most important aspect which we discussed in the previous session in the context of creation of Brahma was when Mahavishnu appears after he creates Brahma, and Brahma hears from the cosmic waters the vibrations which tell him to do tapas. Tapas anta helidmele Brahma goes into a deep meditative state for years together. After that, Vishnu appears before him, and then Brahma sees Mahavishnu with all the majesties, all the potential, and all the requirements of creation, because Brahma is already endowed with that knowledge that he is going to create further. So he sees the source from where he is going to create further, and he understands that he is an instrument. And Vishnu makes it very clear that you are the chosen one, and I made you do tapas so that you can see me, and this is my grace. And Brahma reciprocates in a similar way. He says, I understand. When Vishnu asks him, ask for a boon. So the only boon he asks him is, you are going to give me all the power, all the ability to create, but never ever I should develop a pride that I am creating this independently. I should always remember that you have chosen me, and it is you who is making all this work through me. So that was a great lesson for us, that whatever is happening, particularly in the field of spiritual path, it is our efforts, our choice, plus abundant divine grace. Without that, the spirituality will not progress, the devotion will not come. Bhakti ಅನ್ನೋದು ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು. Without that, he will be just unperturbed. Even now is unperturbed, but the system is set in such a way that when we surrender and when we start showing inclination towards learning these things which are beyond the ordinary affairs, then there comes another gracing energy which will add to our efforts, and it will kind of pick up what is called momentum. So it goes faster. So that is the beauty of this spiritual path, and that is what has been explained in the conversation between Vishnu and Brahma. Now after that, Shuka says, now this is how Brahma comes to know the entire thing from Mahavishnu. He learns from Mahavishnu, and then Brahma creates the important Manas Putras, of whom Narada is one of the special Manasa Putra. So when Narada approaches Brahma has started creating, and then he narrates the entire Bhagavad to Narada. So Brahma narrates to Bhagvatpurana with 10 characteristics. That's what we are going to study today. This keeps on repeating actually. Lot of things keep repeating, but they are expressed in different ways because conversations are happening in different places and different type of questions are asked. Narada asks in different way to his father Brahma. Then the same thing is told by Vyasa to Shuka. Shuka would have asked. And it's also told by Maitreya to Vidura. So there also some questioning comes. Shuka is telling Parikshit. So obviously we saw 20 questions of Parikshit. Similarly, Sutta Puranika is telling the Shaunakari. This entire is narration from there. they also ask questions. So depending on that, there will be repetitions, and that is required because these concepts are very deep and we may not tend to remember them. That's why actually deliberately probably Vyasa Muni has done that in the Bhagavad Purana. So Brahma tells this to Narada, he narrates this. Narada in turn narrates this to Vyasa. Now, Bhagavata, Shuka says, now we are coming to chapter 10. What are these 10 characteristics of Bhagavad Purana which were told in the first initial steps by Vishnu to Brahma and Brahma to Narada? What are those 10? These are going to be elaborated in the next skanda. But here, we should know some definitions, what it means. Whenever this is a big project, isn't it? Creating the entire universe and repeating it. See, every creation has one kalpa. Kalpa means all yugas, and there are so many yugas in one manvantara, they say, and so many manvantaras in one kalpa. So it keeps repeating, and it is happening at multiple levels. So the what we call as in whenever we talk about some procedures in management, we talk about standard procedures, standard protocols. So exactly we have derived from the creation only. How beautifully he has defined what it is, how it should progress. Everything is very well planned. So we will go through those definitions only. I will not go into details. Then we come to the Skanda 3, chapter 1, the conversation between Vidura and Uddhava. Very interesting. So, what are those 10 characteristics? Shuka. Shuka is, Shuka Muni, Sreshta Muni. He's telling this to Parikshit. So, he says that Bhagavata is distinguished by 10 subjects. What are those 10 subjects? So, the first one is Sarga. Whatever we have discussed, they come under these terminologies. As I told you, Bhagavad is not only stories, there is jnana, then there is story. Again, some jnana, again, some story. So we should try to understand that and then appreciate actually. These are the activities what Lord Vishnu has done. Sarga is the first step. So the divine will initially, as we have discussed, I will not go in details. I will just give the concept and move on to the stories because each one of them is going to be discussed in detail. Sarga is the first step of creation. Every time, Bhagavad, third time we are talking about creation. So it makes it very, very important for us because this is also one of the aspects of divine manifestation. Obviously, Sarga means what happens is first there is divine will. There is nothing, I told you, infinity. So first, initially, the Parabrahman decides that there should be a creation. And through his Yoga Maya, he comes out with Mahat Tattva. In that Mahat Tattva, it just vibrates. Vibration means Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, three gunas are in proper proportion. Not equal, but in a proper proportion with Sattvic guna, which is more in proportion. And the rest, I don't know, and they have not given the exact proportion, but predominantly Sattvic. When the cosmos is resting, nothing is there. There is a divine will which says now the creation has to start. At that time, through his Yoga Maya, he creates Mahat Tattva, the origin of creation. In Mahat Tattva, there will be a balanced state of three gunas. Now it shakes, and the minute it shakes, then everything starts manifesting. So that imbalance in Prakriti leads to the arrival of Virat Rupa, which we have discussed. Then comes Visarga. Creation of Visarga is next step. Creation of all beings by Brahma, utilizing this Mahat Tattva. Then there is something called Sthana. Sthana is maintenance of the world in proper order. So all these we must understand. Even when we run an institution or an organization or we run a home properly, don't we have different sections which will take care? We indent for groceries, we buy the groceries, we put them in proper places, we maintain the kitchen, we maintain the house, we maintain the bathrooms. Maybe we call urban company and keep everything under control. Exactly in similar way, imagine the entire Brahmanda universe is being maintained, created, and with utilization of different resources. Resources means in terms of Prakriti and people also. So how beautifully he has done. Sarga is to start, commence before Brahma. Then Visarga is creation of, Visarga includes, of course, Virat Rupa and up to Brahma. Visarga includes creation of, I am exactly describing what is given in the commentary translation by Swami Tapasyananda, Srimad Bhagavatam. Then Sthana is actual maintenance of the world in proper order, maintenance in proper order. And then Poshana. Poshana is protection to those who take shelter in him. Clearly, they have mentioned protection to those who take shelter in him is called Poshan. So, Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshan. Then comes Manvantara. Manvantara is a system of law of righteous being. There are certain rules written. Probably Manusmriti, all these form the guidelines, law of righteous living. Just by creating, we are not going to achieve anything. We should have rule book, isn't it? We have rule book. We have what is a rule book for our existence in this worldly life? Actually, it is a Manusmriti. And then after those do's and don'ts, we come to Bhagavad Gita. These are actually our laws and or guidelines, you can say. Manvantara, there's a laws of righteous living. Laws means probably if you do like this, you will be awarded or rewarded. If you don't, then you'll be punished. Those are the laws. Then comes Uti. Uti is karmic tendencies. Karmic tendencies. So this is all created. It is all created means they are not written in books, but it exists. Then after that we have Sarga, Sthana or Sthiti, Manvantara, Ishanukatha. Ishanukatha is descriptions of Hari's incarnations. Hari's incarnations. Then is Nirodha. Nirodha is at the time of Pralaya dissolution. Mahavishnu goes into a state of yogic slumber, yoga nidra. He goes into a state of yogic slumber, and all the jivas is I and you, retaining the body in germinal condition, it is told. Retaining the body in the germinal condition, we go back. Germinal condition is like Sukshma Sharira. We become one with him. Mukti is moksha. Jiva's abandoning of all entanglements. And last comes Ashraya. Ashraya is he out of whom the entire universe, including the Jivas, emerges at creation, and in whom once again they all go back in abeyance at the time of dissolution, also called Brahman, Paramatman, Ashraya, all the three. So we have Sarga, Visarga, Sthana, Poshana, Manvantara, Uti, Ishanukatha, Nirodha, Mukti, Ashraya. Beautifully, he has given all these descriptions as to how we must understand how it is functioning. We are part of him, no doubt. But let us understand more about the functioning. It is just like our constitution. Although we don't know much about it and we don't spend enough time, which we are supposed to do, at least in schools we are taught what are the rights of the citizen, what are the rules of the constitution, what are the do's and don'ts, and what right we have, what responsibility we have. All those are given in constitution. We learn a little bit of this in school. So now we are learning actually what ideally we should know, how everything is functioning. And unless we know that, we cannot enjoy Bhagavad Purana. Bhagavad Gita doesn't give all these in so much of detail. So this is what it comes here. Now, so after this, so all this is being told, these 10 step condition characteristics of creation. And then there is much more. As I told, I will discuss that in the next chapter because they are going to be expanded more in detail, and we can see that. So there, this concludes. I mean, explanations of all this is told by Brahma to Narada, and then this concludes. They say now Shaunaka Sutta Puranika says that we have talked about all this. Now I shall tell you what happens between Vidura and Maitreya. This is another conversation by Bhagavata told by Maitreya to Vidura. So let us see what happens there. So now Vidura, before meeting Maitreya, he meets a person called Uddhava. So what happens is, after Vidura, how does he leave Hastinapura? When there is a war going on, he just goes and he doesn't want to be there physically when the war is happening because he's totally against it. And he will be part of the part of this group, Kauravas group, because he is loyal. Pandavas alone were isolated. Vidura, Bhishma, Drona, all of these people are along with the Kauravas. Against their wishes. Actually, they don't want to be. But as a loyalty to their position, they had to be there. So somehow Vidura leaves. So now what happens is Parikshita asks, Parikshita is the next generation, third generation. Vidura is his forefather only in one way. So the Parikshita asks him, Shuka says, Shuka Muni is telling Parikshita, Parikshita, now I will tell you what happened between Vidura and Maitreya. Before that, he says, how come Vidura? Parikshit asks Shuka, where was Vidura all these days? And when did he leave Hastinapur? For that, there are so many shlokas, very interesting. So now Shuka says, Vidura must have left the palace for any of these, in any of these, I don't know exactly when, but he must have left either here or there or at that time. So, like that, he narrates. One thing he says, he must have been annoyed by Duryodhana when Duryodhana attempts to kill the Pandavas in Lakshagraha. So, if you know the story, Duryodhana always was jealous of Pandavas. So, here we will speak little bit about the nature of Duryodhana, which is observed in so many people around. Pandavas had so many qualities. Apart from that, Yudhishthira was known as Dharmaraja. People don't respect anybody for their ability, intelligence, skills. That comes next. What was unique about Pandavas, they were more sattvic, they were more generous, they were more helpful people. And among all the five, Yudhishthira never got angry, always spoke the truth, always followed the dharma. So people always used to talk, it seems. There's one more book, if you can get, I referred this. This is Mahabharata by C. Rajagopalachari. Very beautiful, Mahabharata. So some references are from this. So people used to, in the kingdom, people always used to tell, it seems, that next king should be Yudhishthira. Dhritarashtra's younger brother was Pandu, but Pandu died early, and then therefore Dhritarashtra was ruling under his banner. Actually, Duryodhana was running. So Duryodhana says that everybody talks about Yudhishthira, Papa. Why shouldn't we become? Now Yudhishthira becomes the king, his son becomes the king, his grandchildren become. Then where are we? We are pushed to a corner. They are not going to, we are not going to see the light of the day. So something has to be done. And every day he is so unhappy, Duryodhana and his father, Dhritarashtra, who's blind. So he keeps discussing the same thing. So one or the other way we should get rid of them. So how to get rid? Okay, then what we will do? We will push them to another place nearby. At least we will not see them. And then from there, the mastermind is that they have to kill them. So they will create one festival, and it seems they will send them to Varnavrata. There is one village nearby. So Duryodhana's master plan is to push the Pandavas away from this city and then get the goodwill of all our subjects who are living in this. So they will observe us running this kingdom, and they will show them extra affairs. Will make it is all a politically strategized game. So, and when out of sight, Pandavas are out of sight, then they will stop talking about Yudhishthira. Then they only will come up and say that now next is Duryodhana has to be the king and the mastermind. Then they push the Pandavas to Varnavrata, and there they say they tell Pandavas that there's a beautiful palace being built for you, and that we will have a nice festival, we'll have a celebrations. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪಾಂಡವಸ್ also initially they believe them, but then knowing Duryodhana's mind, they smell something, but they are not very sure of what is in his mind. So they push. Then there is one more, with the help of an architect, Duryodhana builds a palace of inflammable material. Inflammable means they will rapidly catch fire. So he will use the wax and lacquer and jute and all those things, which if you just, put a small spark there with a matchstick, then it should just burn the entire palace. So that way he would have planned. And Pandavas would be initially staying outside, then they get, it looks very beautiful. So here what happens is an insider, Vidura, comes to know about their plan, and he warns them that it is not enough to be good. Actually, those dialogues are very interesting. He tells Dharmaraja, Yudhishthira, see, it's always nice to be good, but goodness should not become, you should be also aware of the moves of your enemy. And Duryodhana is always up to something. Be careful, beware. Ishte ಹೇಳಿ ಕಳಿಸಿರ್ತಾನೆ Vidura. But Vidura knows very well there is a plan to kill them. So in one of the speeches, Sadhguru also says, goodness is good, stupidity is wrong. We should not be stupid. We should be clever also. You should not think that just because you are good and you are praying God, that everybody will protect you. There are so many wicked minds around. We should be very cautious. That means we should be clever also. We should be very clever. So they come to know, and fortunately, Yudhishthira sends a miner and a mine digging, one who digs. So what happens is there is one person who digs a tunnel, and these people, Pandavas, they can they gauge that something is happening, something is cooking. There are guards who are all Duryodhana's close associates. So before they could do something, Vidura and Pandavas plan. They have a tunnel, and before they leave, there are some guards, gatekeepers, everybody. They themselves, uh, burn it. They just put the fire over there and they burn it and they escape. So everybody thinks Pandavas have died, and then they escape. They go into exile. So now Shuka is saying, this Vidura knows that Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra are planning to kill their own cousins. So he must have got frustrated and he must have left for pilgrimage at that point of time. Or maybe he was upset because Dhritarashtra was there very much when Draupadi was being, stripped. Vastrapaharana, Draupadi Vastrapaharana. I hope all of you know about that. When Yudhishthira plays a game of dice, and when he has nothing to give, they just Dushasana, Duryodhana's brother. He brings Draupadi to that sabha, that is called as a, in the central place of this palace. Before everybody, he brings her, who is having actually periods, and he wants to insult her. And Bhishma is there, Dhritarashtra is there, Drona is there. None of them oppose, and this must have irritated him, and he must have left. Second, this one Shuka is trying to give, and this Bhagavad or Shuka is trying to link us to Mahabharata characters, which also is related to this, because obviously Krishna was an integral part of Mahabharata. So we cannot be, we have to go through those instances. Then he says, another occasion would be when once Dhritarashtra, this is also something very serious, Dhritarashtra would have called Vidura as a wise counselor. Actually, Dhritarashtra, it seems, always he used to depend, he knows Vidura is a rational fellow, but Dhritarashtra's defect, why Dhritarashtra did not stop Mahabharata? What do you all think? From spiritual angle, if you think, or from, let us say, we have learned do's and don'ts, and what are the hurdles for us in righteous living. Why did Dhritarashtra, knowing very well that what he was doing was wrong, his son was doing was wrong, why didn't he stop? What was it which empowered Dhritarashtra? Anybody? Any answers?
Mom, he is too much attached to his son.
Okay, too much attached to his son. Okay, correct. That is one. Yeah, that is true. Any further elaboration on that? That's right.
Uh,
Yes, Manjula.
According to the this one, he is the elder brother, and he was supposed to get the kingdom.
Get them. Okay.
He always felt that it was snatched away from him because
Right.
of the
Right. Right.
his fault,
Correct.
none
Correct.
of his faults. Yeah.
Right. That's right. So legally, yes, correct. No, legally he should have got, but everybody thought that Duryodhana was not fit, or he did not have that merit. That used to irritate. Any other answers? Anybody? So uh, he, as a his father of Dhritarashtra. So because of attachment, he could not let go. Number one, and as Manjula said, senior person, senior ka beta hona chahiye. Lekin he was not a meritorious fellow. This he could not see. Other than being blind, he could not sense, or because of his attachment, and we have to here use the word moha. Moha andre delusion. Delusion andre you will become so much attached that you will not be able to see what is right clearly. This also we must understand. In our lives also, we are so much attached that we overlook the deficiencies. If Dhritarashtra was unbiased, he would have said, my son doesn't deserve to be the king, and it should be the Pandavas who should. But he was deluded. Moha actually makes it as a wheel. It will not show you the clear vision. So Dhritarashtra, but therefore in between he will keep calling Vidura. People who are not following the right path, they know it, and they some of them like Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana never bothered. This person he used to feel and he'll call Vidura, Vidura Bandhudo, Bandhudo. Even Naranachar has described very well. So he'll call them, he'll call, and he will ask, what shall I do on that? So Vidura says, gives him an advice. He says, give a portion of land to Yudhishthira. Portion of land. Do not, you also live happily. Give him also, I mean, they will also be happy, you're also happy. And you respect Yudhishthira because, in spite of so much of offenses you people have done, he's still patient and he's still respecting you. And there is one King Krishna who is sitting there, who is the great Lord. Actually, he is supposed to be the divine person himself, which you people are not appreciating. On one hand, on one side, we have Krishna, and look at you on the other side. Here we have Duryodhana, who is full of evil mindedness. And he will use all kinds of words, and he says, now it is a time for you to drive him away from the house. Throw Duryodhana out of your house. This is what Vidura, it seems, I don't know whether it's called Vidura Niti. It is called Vaidurikam. Vaidurikam anta ಹೇಳಿದ Vaidurikam vadanti. Yan mantrino Vaidurikam vadanti. Vidura's counsel, that is the advice given to him, to his own brother, stepbrother, of course, Dhritarashtra. He says, throw him out. If you want this clan, if you want a reputation, if you want to be recognized as a good king, then throw him out because he doesn't do any good to you and to this Vamsha. So part, uh, give part of this to Yudhishthira and throw Duryodhana out. Duryodhana was standing there and he comes with his all evil people, Karna, Shakuni, Dushasana, and then he screams at Vidura, who he screams in the palace before everybody. He says, which person has which who has introduced this fellow here? He's a rogue. All kinds of bad words he uses. Yena matropa juhava jifyam dasyaha sutam yadvalinaiva pushtaha. Who has brought this Dasi Putra? He is born to a Dasi and he doesn't care. We have fed him, though he is Dasi Putra. He has had food in our house and he's turning against us. And the hell, let us throw him. He starts howling. Now Vidura cannot keep quiet. Vidura, he doesn't argue back. He stays peacefully and he thinks that this is Lord's Maya. That's all he says because he has given his best counsel to his brother. So Shuka says to Parikshit, maybe this is the time when Vidura must have really left this place. Or it could be in another occasion when Krishna comes to uh, Duryodhana's palace to negotiate. If you remember this, Krishna gives a final trial, though he knows to avoid the war. He comes there to negotiate. And that's what he will ask for, a small piece of land. So Duryodhana refuses that also. So at that time also, Vidura advises Dhritarashtra, this is your last chance. This is your last chance, and you can actually prevent war if you mind it. And so he will refuse for that also. And probably irritated by this, Vidura must have left, uh, and then he has gone to the pilgrimage. So once he comes back from the pilgrimage, he sees that there is total destruction. Everybody, I mean, all the known people, relatives, so many deaths have happened, so much of bloodshed has happened. Uh, Vidura is a very balanced person. He knows he will not sit lamenting or brooding or ಎದೆ ಎದೆ ಹೊಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ, because he knows it is Krishna's Maya, and he has seen the progression, how step by step, andre the sin or the bad deeds of Duryodhana reached a peak, and then there was no other go but to conduct this war, and therefore it has happened. He says that, and then he goes to different places, and then he goes to uh, near river Saraswati, and he goes still further to Saurashtra. There he meets Uddhava. The minute he sees Uddhava is a very close pal of Krishna, who was with Krishna during his last few days. At that time, he meets Uddhava and he embraces him, and he knows uh, about everything, what happened after I left. So he asks him few questions. Exactly, if you remember, in initial Skandas, Yudhishthira would have asked Arjuna, who comes from the palace of Dwaraka. After Krishna leaves this body, Arjuna would have come, and Yudhishthira is all curious to ask. Similar way, now Vidura asks Uddhava, is Vasudeva fine? He used to, very beautifully they have told with some messages through these shlokas actually. Is Vasudeva fine? He used to take care of his sisters and their husbands. Suhrinno bhamaha sa aste sukhamangam shaurihi. Andre, how is Vasudeva, Uddhava? Vasudeva, Krishna has gone back, no? After this Kurukshetra, he has gone back. He must have started, running his royal this thing. So, is Vasudeva fine? He used to take care of his sisters and their husbands. Andre, those days, the family used to be so nice that just by giving away the sisters and all, they would not wash away their duties. They would still respect. ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಈಗ ಮಗಳು ಅಳಿಯ ಬೀಗರು ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಹಂಗೆ. So there also the brothers, so parents taking care is different. Brother Vasudeva used to take care. That means the son becomes, he continues the responsibility of his parents. The son is supposed to continue. Obviously, the parents want their sons, their daughter-in-laws, their daughters, son-in-laws, their families to be happy. So Vasudeva should be taking care of his sisters. What happened to Pradyumna? So all these questions he is asking. What happens to Pradyumna? Is he fine? And he tells Pradyumna is born to, do you know who is Pradyumna? He is born to Krishna and Rukmini. Pradyumna is born to Krishna and Rukmini. He also is considered to be manifesting lot of avatar, lot of amsha of Vishnu. So Pradyumna was more details come in Skanda 4. So he was the commander-in-chief for Yadava clan actually. So what happens is he is born to Rukmini. But as soon as he is born, he is abducted by Shambhara Asura. Shambhara Asura, the Rakshasa. Immediately he takes the baby and he throws him in the ocean. The story says that it is engulfed by a large fish. And when this fisherman cuts that fish, he finds a small baby. He goes and gives it to a lady called Mayavati. This Pradyumna is reborn, the Kamadeva is reborn here. And this Mayavati is supposed to be Rati reborn. Rati is Kama's wife. So Rati comes to know through her powers that he is none other than Kama reborn, and they had to take this birth due to some curse. We'll not discuss that. So she protects him, and he grows, and he remove. She has that power to remove that Maya, and then Pradyumna realizes that is Kama, and he unites with Mayavati, though she is elderly, and together they come back to Dwaraka and meet their mother after he becomes an adult. That is the story of Pradyumna, and then he is coronated. He becomes a king. So that happens. So he asked, "How is Pradyumna? How is Ugrasena? Ugrasena, we know. I'm not going to talk more about him. How is Samba? Samba is son of Jambavati. So here, why I'm telling all this is, let us keep understanding Krishna's clan. Samba is son of Jambavati. And why we have to discuss is Krishna, Jambavati, Satyabhama, Rukmini are first two wives. He has 16,000 wives, but Jambavati is a special third one. After Satyabhama and Rukmini comes Jambavati. Jambavati would not have conceived. So she'll go and ask Krishna that a son may be born to me, just like Pradyumna. Pradyumna is born to Rukmini. So Krishna actually, it's something very ironical. He does tapas on Shiva, it seems, because Krishna now he is born as Avatara. He demonstrates some limitations, though he is not. He is powerful. If he minds, he can, but he will do a tapas. And Shiva comes in Ardhanarishwara Rupa. He gives him darshan, and then Jambavati conceives, and to her is born this Samba. The name of this Ardhanarishwara Shiva is Samba, it seems. Therefore, she has been named as Samba. Give me 1 minute. So he asks about Samba. He asks about Satyaki. Satyaki is also very devoted, follower of Krishna, and his cousin brother of Krishna, Satyaki. Satyakishcha Parajitaha. In the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, all these names are coming. Satyaki, he supported Pandavas. Krishna's army gets divided in Kurukshetra. Some of them majority go to Kaurava's side, and some of them come to actually nobody comes here. His army goes to Kaurava, and Krishna alone comes here when he gives them a choice. So he learned from Arjuna, and Satyaki is also very well known. Now, lastly, I'll come to Akrura. Akrura, very, very, I should say, devoted. Akrura is maternal uncle of Krishna. So he asks him, "How is Akrura?" Anta keltanu. Akrura is matter just like Kamsa. Kamsa is also uncle only. Akrura is he is well kept by Kamsa. So Akrura realizes the divine potential of Krishna, and he wants to be with Krishna, but Kamsa does not allow him. On the Akrura's one situation, one sannivesha is very beautiful. Akrura is asked to accompany Krishna Balarama in one of this thing by Kamsa. He takes this as a very great opportunity because Krishna is, as we have discussed, he is a divine manifestation, but people living in that era, not all appreciated. Very few, like Vidura, like Kunti, like Draupadi, Arjuna, and all of Pandavas. Less by Bhima and all, more by Arjuna, Yudhishthira, Draupadi, Kunti and all. And Bhishma, of course. So likewise, Akrura was, he was different. Kamsa considered him as an enemy only. He never thought he's a divine person. But Akrura understood, and then when he takes them in a chariot, and on the way back from Vrindavan, he says, "Just wait, I will just wash my legs and come." And on the sand, he sees Krishna's footsteps, and he knows that I will not get such an opportunity, he rolls on that sand to get the vibrations, to get the blessings of Lord Krishna. Akrura, he just rolls and then he goes to wash his body or take bath. As he comes out, he looks at Krishna Balarama who are sitting on the chariot, and he sees the proper, he gets a proper divine darshan of Krishna. He thinks it must be a hallucination. Once again, he goes and he dips into that water. Again, he comes out and he gets complete darshan of Sri Krishna. And therefore, they say he is one of the person who has been really, really blessed by Krishna in that few persons he has given his darshan like this. Akrura is one of them. Akrura is one of them. And I'm sure Uddhava also, I think, will read about them. So that is the conversation between Vidura and Uddhava. Vidura and Uddhava. He's asking all these questions. And then he continues to ask, what happened to Satwatas, Vrishnis, Bhojas? If you remember, already they are no more. Yadava clan also is no more. He will describe. Next chapter is Uddhava's uh, reply to this. So he will continue to keep asking, and then he talks about many other things which we have already done, about Arjuna getting the Pashupata Astra, all that he remembers those, and he reminds Uddhava of all those and asks about these things. So that there ends the conversation between um, Vidura and Uddhava. So anybody, any other song would you like to sing, or Manjula ಹಾಡು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಕ್ಕ, ಬೇಡ.
Okay. So
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ದಿನ ಹಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
next time you will come prepared, Manjula. Time ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
ಪರ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್.
I think you have less.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಮುಂದಿನ ಸಲ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಹಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Okay. So yeah, all right. So this song everybody knows. ಇದು ಅಕ್ರೂರ ಬಂದಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಸಾಂಗ್ ಪಿಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ದೇವ ಬಂದಾನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದಾನೋ, ದೇವರ ದೇವ ಶಿರೋಮಣಿ ಬಂದನೋ. ದೇವ ಬಂದಾನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದಾನೋ, ದೇವರ ದೇವ ಶಿರೋಮಣಿ ಬಂದನೋ. ಉರಗ ಶಯನ ಬಂದ ಗರುಡ ಗಮನ ಬಂದ, ಉರಗ ಶಯನ ಬಂದ ಗರುಡ ಗಮನ ಬಂದ, ನರಗೊಳಿದವ ಶ್ರೀನಾರಾಯಣ ಬಂದ. ದೇವ ಬಂದಾನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದಾನೋ, ದೇವರ ದೇವ ಶಿರೋಮಣಿ ಬಂದನೋ. ಮಂದರೋದ್ಧಾರ ಬಂದ ಮಾಮನೋಹರ ಬಂದ, ಮಂದರೋದ್ಧಾರ ಬಂದ ಮಾಮನೋಹರ ಬಂದ. ಬೃಂದಾವನ ಪತಿ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಬಂದಾನೋ. ನಕ್ರಹರನು ಬಂದ ಚಕ್ರಧರನು ಬಂದ, ಅಕ್ರೂರಗೊಲಿದ ತ್ರಿವಿಕ್ರಮ ಬಂದಾನೋ. ದೇವ ಬಂದಾನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದಾನೋ, ದೇವರ ದೇವ ಶಿರೋಮಣಿ ಬಂದ. ಪಕ್ಷಿ ವಾಹನ ಬಂದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ ಗ್ರಜ ಬಂದ, ಪಕ್ಷಿ ವಾಹನ ಬಂದ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ ಗ್ರಜ ಬಂದ. ಅಕ್ಷಯ ಫಲದ ಶ್ರೀಲಕ್ಷ್ಮೀ ರಮಣ ಬಂದ, ನಿಗಮ ಗೋಚರ ಬಂದ ನಿತ್ಯತನು ಬಂದ. ನಗೆ ಮುಖ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲ ಬಂದನೋ. ದೇವ ಬಂದಾನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದಾನೋ, ದೇವರ ದೇವ ಶಿರೋಮಣಿ ಬಂದನೋ. ದೇವ ಬಂದಾನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಬಂದಾನೋ, ದೇವರ ದೇವ ಶಿರೋಮಣಿ ಬಂದ.
Nice song.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
This is a very popular, simple song. Thanks, Vacha. So, any additions there? We end today for today's session. Take home message is about Mahabharata and instances of Mahabharata, patience of Vidura, intelligence of Vidura, and thorough understanding of Vidura. Indra, when there were so many difficulties, and he could see that. Many times it happens, no? When we see something is happening, his own brother's children, his own clan is getting washed out, but he can't do anything. We just can't do anything in many situations, isn't it? So what can we do? After we put all our efforts, we surrender to God and accept it as his Maya. They have not used the word prasad. We say it's his prasad, and there will be some purpose in that. So that if we understand, then we sync with Lord's intention. We sync other way. This is your decision. It's your condition. So I will accept this. This is the take-home message from Vidura's nature. Yeah. Anybody wants to add to this? Anybody wants to add?
Ma'am, who is Uddhav, ma'am, here?
Uddhava is his relative only. Actually, yeah, he's Ali. Exact relation, I am not sure. I will come back to you. But he remains with him, not related. He's his friend, just like follower, you can say. He is the one with whom he spent the last few days. Uddhava and Satyaki, it seems they were always with him. Satyaki and Uddhava. Looks like he's a charioteer, friend, like that. Not a relative. Very close friend and bhakta, devotee. Very close. I'll get more history about Uddhava in my next session. Yeah. Anything else?
ಉದ್ಧವ ಗೀತೆ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತದೆ.
ಹೌದು
ಉದ್ಧವ
ಹೌದು
ಗೀತೆ.
ಉದ್ಧವ ಗೀತೆ ಹೌದು.
Station.
Yes, it's a very beautiful narration of Krishna. ಕೃಷ್ಣನೇ ಹೇಳೋದು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಉದ್ಧವ ಗೀತಾ.